A chatbot answers. An agent acts. That sounds simple, but it is the line most people miss when they start building with AI. If your system can only generate text, it is still trapped inside the conversation. The moment it can inspect a situation, choose a tool, execute a step, and check the result, it becomes something different. It becomes a workflow engine with language as the control layer. The first failure mode is treating the model like a smart employee with no hands. You ask for a plan, it gives you a plan. Then a human has to copy, paste, click, upload, check, retry, and remember every moving part. That is not leverage. That is outsourcing the thinking while keeping the operational drag. Tool use changes the shape of the system because the model stops being only a narrator and starts becoming a coordinator. Technical creators and modern businesses do not win because they have more prompts. They win because they turn repeated decisions into repeatable systems. They reduce handoffs. They compress the distance between intent and execution. Tool use is how that compression happens. A model can read structured data, call an internal function, query a database, create an artifact, trigger a workflow, or verify an output. The intelligence is not just in the answer. It is in the loop. The first move is not giving the agent every possible capability. It is defining a small set of tools with clear boundaries. Each tool should do one job, accept structured input, and return structured output. This matters because vague tools create vague behavior. If a tool can handle customer stuff, the agent has to guess what that means. If a tool can look up an order by ID or create a draft refund request, the agent has a clean action surface. Good agents are built from boring, precise tools. A chatbot lives in the current conversation. An agent needs state. It needs to know what has already happened, what is pending, what failed, what was approved, and what should not be repeated. Without state, the system forgets its own work. It may rerun tasks, lose context, or ask the same question again. State can be simple: a task record, a status field, a memory entry, a job log. The point is that the agent should not depend on vibes. It should have a source of truth. A strong agent does not blindly act on every thought. It separates planning from execution. First, it decides what needs to happen. Then it chooses the next tool call. Then it inspects the result. That separation gives you control. You can log decisions. You can require approval for sensitive actions. You can stop dangerous chains before they move. The agent should not be a magic box. It should be a controlled system that makes its next step visible enough to trust. Tool use without verification is just faster guessing. The agent needs feedback. Did the file exist? Did the query return the expected shape? Did the task finish? Did the generated artifact match the brief? This is where agents become operationally useful. They do not just call a tool and assume success. They compare the result against criteria. If something fails, they can retry, choose another path, or escalate to a human. A real agent is not defined by action. It is defined by action plus correction. The more power you give an agent, the more boundaries matter. Some actions are safe to automate. Some should require review. Some should be impossible. This is not bureaucracy. This is architecture. Reading a document is different from deleting one. Drafting a message is different from sending it. Preparing a payment action is different from executing it. A useful agent understands the difference because the system around it makes the difference explicit. The best agents do not try to replace every human decision. They remove the low-value steps around the decision. They gather context. They prepare options. They execute approved actions. They write down what happened. This is where the leverage compounds. A human stays in the loop where judgment matters. The agent handles the mechanical middle. That creates a workflow where people spend less time operating the system and more time improving it. At a high level, the pattern is simple. Intent comes in. The agent interprets the goal. It checks state. It selects a tool. It executes one step. It verifies the result. Then it either continues, asks, or stops. That loop is the real product, not the prompt, not the interface, not the personality. The loop is what turns language into digital leverage, because every clean loop can become a reusable workflow. When you build agents this way, the payoff is not spectacle. It is operational calm, fewer manual bridges, fewer forgotten steps, fewer workflows living only in someone's head. You get systems that can move work forward while leaving evidence behind. You get repeatable execution instead of one-off prompting, and you get a cleaner question to ask every time a process feels slow. What part of this should be a tool? The hook was simple. A chatbot answers, an agent acts. The takeaway is just as simple. If you want leverage, stop designing conversations and start designing controlled action loops. Define the tools, track the state, verify the output, put boundaries around power. That is how a model becomes part of a system, not just a voice inside a box. Subscribe for more breakdowns on AI systems, automation, and digital leverage. And for the wider ECTD ecosystem, go to ectd.com.au.